There's another guy you guys probably have heard of who had to choose his perspective because life wasn't looking too good for him. See, this guy was when he was a baby, he was born with a nerve disorder. So his eye was kind of like this, his lip was kind of like this, and his speech wasn't, exactly on. And the kids used to tease him in school, and they used to call him Stinky Binky. And so Stinky Binky got teased all through school, and Stinky Binky decided at around high school age that he wanted to become an actor. And he didn't want to become an actor. He wanted to be a writer for film. So Stinky Binky starts writing stuff, and nobody likes it. And then he starts trying out for plays, and nobody likes his acting. And so he picks up and he moves to New York because he wants to do the Broadway thing, and he gets no auditions, and he's writing screenplays, and it's just failure after failure after failure. But you know what he does? He doesn't give up. He wakes up, he looks in the morning, and he chooses his perspective. A champion has to choose their perspective. If you don't, you're held hostage by the circumstance. You're held hostage by whatever's occurring around you. So this is what he does. He picks up and he realizes this isn't working. He sells everything he owns. He buys an Oldsmobile for $900, throws a duffel bag in the back, and he moves to L.A. And this is what he does. He wakes up every morning at around 5 o'clock in the morning, and he writes for hours. Writes and writes and writes and writes and writes for hours. And nobody likes his stuff, and nobody likes his acting. So now he was a failure in New York, and now he's a failure in L.A., which is marginally better because at least it's warm in L.A. I mean, that's how I see it. And so he's in L.A., and nobody likes his stuff. Finally, he writes a screenplay, and he gets his first ever callback. And this director says, we like the script. We'd be willing to give you $20,000 for the script. This is 1974. We'll give you $20,000 for the script, but you can't act in the film. I see here it says you're to be the key actor in the film, and you're an unknown that the studio is not willing to take that risk. We'll give you $20,000 for the script. He says, forget it. You're poor. You have $900 Oldsmobile. You don't have anything else. They just offered you $20,000. He says, forget it. Why? Champions choose their perspective. He goes, no, hold on a second. I got to hang on to this dream. So the guy calls him back a couple weeks later, and he says, we will give you $30,000 for the script. He says, forget it. The same story, calls him back after negotiations. About 4 months later, the studio said, we will give you $300,000 today is pretty good. I would take it. $300,000, but you cannot act in this film. It's too much of a risk. The studio is not willing to take it. He says, forget it. Unbelievable. Not only does he say forget it, but all he has is a track record of failure. He doesn't have a track record of, no, I can do this, and after all, I was successful at this other place, and so I'm holding out for a better. He is 0 for 100. He says, forget it. The director calls him back. This is in 1976 now. 1975. The director calls him back and says, we will give you $20,000 for the script, and you can play the lead because it's such a risk. The studio is nervous about it. He goes, you got it. And so in 1976, Rocky was filmed, and Sylvester Stallone catapulted his way into stardom. He wrote and directed that first Rocky film in 1976. It grossed $176 million in 1976. And, of course, I think we're at like Rocky 17 now, right? A champion will choose their perspective.